Hi everybody. This video is primarily only for friends and family. This is going to be the video chat about our second day of our Great Western Adventure. We left off in the last video at Chester. We were in the morning after a major storm and more importantly, a lot of wind. It After I finished shooting that last video, we really realized that we needed to pull everything out of the car and repack, and that took another hour or so to do so. So after we got the car packed up, we kind of drove down into Chester itself, and it's a very small town. That's when we found some of the local people and we asked them about the bathrooms. They told us that they had all been permanently closed by the city manager because of a few bad actors who were consistently damaging the bathrooms, and finally they just could not keep up with the cost, so they just finally had to shut them for good. And that's really a shame. That's how really sad how very few people managed to ruin it for almost everybody else. We then went out to the main highway and circled around to the one and only gas station in town. The gas station actually sits on what was the old highway right away, which now doesn't go anywhere. Classic Western gas station, even though it's now branded as a Sinclair station. Kind of part gas station, part general store. And really, that was open. So I think this is really where a lot of people get their daily supplies for the town. We took advantage of that right around the gas station were these cornfields that were growing right up to the edge of the road. So we made our way across like a 10-foot strip of grass, which unfortunately had nettles and briars, and I made the mistake of wearing sandals. This is not what you want to wear when dealing with these things, and I got A, stuck, plus I picked up B, a whole lot of these hitchhiker seeds, and birds. And oh, the bird! If you've ever gotten birds, there's an expression: a bird on the saddle, a bird this, a bird that. Yeah, they're not kidding. These things hurt, and they're really hard to get out because they really just kind of like stick into your clothes and such. But a little work, I was able to get my wife a beautiful picture of her, who is 5'6", standing in the cornfield, which was like, wow, the corn was looking really good this year. Like 10 feet tall corn stalks. So I think the harvest is going to be really good in Chester and the surrounding areas for corn. We got back in the car and we almost lost my wife's selfie stick because she left it on the roof of the car. Luckily, I heard clatter, clatter, and I was able to stop and find out that it was there. We then went out to the main highway and literally just about 200 feet down from from Chester, the intersection state border sign. And so my wife really likes taking pictures of these. So we got out and we got a nice picture of it. So we drove about 20 miles down to Bellevue, and then we went kind of in and around Bellevue. Bellevue is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, by this time, it was like, I Sorry, but I have to say, it's like, I gotta go, I gotta go. Just because we had eaten breakfast and we just had to stop. Again, because it's 2020, a lot of the places were closed, even including the bathrooms in the city park, which was kind of annoying. We finally had to pull into a gas station and buy like $2 worth of gas so I could go use the bathroom, and so could my wife. So Bellevue is where we joined US 36 and we headed east through Washington, and then we stopped in Marysville for lunch. We had picked up some food in Chester, but we just wanted a little something more. Again, this was the second half of the positioning part of our trip, as in we were trying to get the furthest east on the Oregon Trail without getting in mixed up with Kansas City. So we were following 36 just due east because it's a good road. It's mostly prairies, kind of rolling, a lot of corn. And we went, I don't know, 100, 150 miles until we reached Fairview. And then at Fairview, we turned south on US 75. At Holton, we left US 75 and joined Nebraska 16, which took us into Holton proper. And then we kind of drove around a little bit. There's a really one nice block of Holton where some of the old 1890s buildings still are standing. However, Holton is one of those places that, as a town, has seen better days. The business district was pretty much a ghost town. Most of the storefronts were vacant. And then next to it is a feed mill. Sits on what used to be a rail line, which is long gone. And then, kind of interesting, weird, but it's some really giant car lots of some sort. And on the west side near the car lots is the city park, which sits south of 16 and east of US 75. And it's a really nice little park. Can't camp there. Just a heads up for anybody who's watching this video. However, they have a relatively newer bathrooms, which is actually the headquarters for the rec department for the town, maybe county. And on the end of those buildings were the bathrooms, and they were really nice. The bathrooms were greatly appreciated and in good condition and clean and soap and toilet paper. You know, it was, and then we just spent a few minutes kind of walking around the grassy areas. They have like an old pavilion that dates back from like the 1950s, and then they have a new one they like built in the 1990s. What's neat about the city park, and this is why you want to go to the city park in Holton if you're in the area, is they have brought what was the 1890s jail to the park, as in the jail cell itself, and it opens. So we took a bunch of pictures of us being in the jail cell going and such. So I mean, if you see my wife's Facebook account, you'll see those pictures on there. But it was pretty funny. So it's just nice to get out, also to stretch and kind of see a little bit of the history of Holton. A little a little slice of the old Western days. Now, for the next 100 miles or so, we followed Nebraska 16 as it kind of goes that way to from the northwest to the southeast. And everyone thinks that Kansas is flat and there are no trees in Kansas. It was really interesting once we got onto 16 proper, how much the terrain kind of rolled and really how most of it was covered by trees, not farms, not crops, but hills with trees on them. We stopped at a little town called Denison where I found what something I had been kind of looking for, which was I needed a computer and internet and a printer because I realized as I was looking through my maps that I really didn't have the maps that I needed for Nebraska in the next several days to follow the Oregon Trail. I had a highway map, I had an atlas, but they weren't really showing what I needed. And the thing is I didn't realize this until I was on the trip that the U.S. Forest Service has this great interactive map, which I could scale up and scale down. And that's what I needed. Unfortunately, I was already on the trip when I realized it. So we were really lucky to find a small county library. And you got to remember, this is 2020 with the lockdown. That was A, open, and B, was allowing people to use their computers. And we had to wait about 20 minutes for an appointment, but they were, after that, it was like, I got what I needed. It, I had like 45 minutes. I spent 44 minutes printing out maps and spending about $10 to $15 on the printing cost. They were needed, and I have to tell you later on, we did use them quite a bit. But of course, that lost us another hour and a half or so, which really kind of put us behind. By this time, it had to have been about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we continued on. We went through the small town of Valley Falls. It was kind of interesting. I mean, this state highway, which, you figure state highways in Kansas are like, like that, or that. But this one kind of actually curved and, it kept going. I have to say, once we kind of got past Valley Falls, which was not a bad little town, but this is kind of the jumping off point for some of the major uh, state parks in this area for people coming out of Kansas City. Our plan was to drive down to Lawrence, spend a little bit of time in Lawrence, and then that would put us towards the edge of Kansas. I had planned that we could do this in a day. However, by the time we got done with the library, it was already like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I have to say, the weather was starting to turn against us again. It was sunny up to the point where we got to Valley Falls area. But after that, it really started to cloud up and be overcast. It kind of started to look like rain. And honestly, I have to say, after the 14-hour marathon drive the day before and being up early that day and today, I was pretty tired. We're kind of pushing it a little harder than we want to because this is supposed to be a vacation. We did follow through 16 down, kind of talking about, what should we do? Maybe we'd stop a little earlier than we had planned. And it really started to get really windy and overcast. And I kind of started thinking, wow, I think it might be going to rain again here. And, I just don't want to be driving, and it's not good to take pictures and for sightseeing either. We did stop at a number of historical markers along the way. As the next hour or so passed, it was just like, man, we're just tired. We just really don't want to do much more today. And even through its light till about 7, it's just like, especially after not having flush toilets and showers, or the night before, we really kind of were looking for something better, and at the very least to stop earlier, because I have to say, driving was starting to be, and that's not fun. So when we reached the town of Tonganoxie, I needed gas anyway. So we pulled into a large gas station, Clancy's, I can't remember. It's a Kansas City chain. But anyways, they had like 20 gas pumps and a huge store, and it was just like, okay, let's see if we can find something closer. Maybe there's a KOA somewhere. I didn't have a KOA guide at this point in time, or if I did, it was completely buried. I didn't have a KOA guide at this point in time, and without internet, it's really, and there's no such thing as yellow pages anymore. So we're kind of at the mercy of asking people, where can we go? I mean, I had campsites, but even those seemed really far. We were kind of thinking originally St. Mary's would. I was kind of looking at the map and going, there's Lawrence, which is pretty good size, and then there's Topeka, where I really want to spend some time, and it's really kind of too late to do that at least properly. Well, one of the two people in the stores heard us asking the store manager. They told us that, oh yeah, there's a KOA on in Lawrence, and it's only about 20 miles and 20 minutes away. And it's like, yes, um, because I know KOAs are just generally good places. Yeah, they can be somewhat pricey at times, but it was like at this point, it was like, I don't care. Uh, and my wife was like, I want to stop. I'm really tired, and I don't want to travel anymore today. And I want to eat. I want to cook rice. I want to relax. I want to sit by a campfire. And it's like, I was agreeing with her. We usually do, but so getting a, we got a few directions, and yeah, I have to admit, it really, really looked like it was going to rain.